You mentioned, spoke to the silver sneakers. What about the body pump?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot from you in putting this together. I've heard a lot from you about body pump.
Body pump. That's one of the classes I teach. I teach.
Tell our audience
yeah.
what that's all about.
Body pump is it's actually Les Mills. It's a trademarked name, and it's a class you have certain gyms offer it. And it's a barbell, it's a weightlifting class. There's other weightlifting classes, like I also teach boot camps, I teach kickboxing, I teach a toning class, which I make up, where we do a lot of weightlifting. Body pump is it's a class that we get the choreography as certified instructors. We are given the choreography, well, we buy it actually, we buy the choreography every 3 months, and the music, and you have to be certified in it. You have to work at a gym that is a Les Mills gym, and they have their certain type of weights. They're just barbells with plates, and it's a lot of fun actually. And it is a class, like I said, weightlifting really is for everyone. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for people who have real back problems, but other than that, anybody can do it. And it really is good. It does build that lean muscle, and you're moving for an hour. It's kind of an intense class, but you can use a lighter weight. It's more about form than weight, and you do get your heart rate going. But like I said, I also teach toning, which I make up, and those kind of classes, same thing, we're lifting weights, we're working the whole body for an hour. Or boot camp, we do more cardio in that. But so those types of classes, there's all different types you teach, but you want to work with weights and work with body weight too. Push-ups are great.
Jumping jacks.
Some jumping jacks, yes.
Squat
we do
thrusts.
some Yep.
from the days of when I was a kid.
Yeah, we do those in boot camp. We'll do mountain climbers, which I don't really like, but I do them because they're good for us. But squats and lunges, really for your legs, there's nothing like squats and lunges. It really is. There's not a better, and those mostly body weight. We'll do some with a weight on us, but mostly using body weight. But there's nothing better.
Now, earlier I mentioned diet programs and TV infomercials, exercise machines. I have a feeling I know your answer, but I'm going to ask anyway for the audience to say. If you tell our viewers what your thoughts are on those.
I'm not a big believer in them. Mostly, especially for abs. Most of the ab machines out there, and in fact we don't even have one at our gym, a machine for abs. Most of the ab machines out there tend to compress the spine. And so they're not really something I'd recommend using. But for ab, you really do want to do floor work and do things like planks. And crunches have gotten a bad name that, oh, crunches are no good. Crunches are good, but you can't just do crunches. You have to do, or people sit-ups, but crunches is just curling the shoulder over. But you have to work the whole core. You can't just do a crunch. You have to work the obliques on the side, the abdominals in the center, and your back. It's really important to strengthen that lower back. And I think a lot of people too, when they lift weights, they also forget to lift for the upper back, especially men tend to concentrate on their chest and their biceps. It's really important to work the back too, and especially women too, to lift heavier for your back muscles, because it gives you good posture, it helps prevent lower back pain and problems, and keeping that core tight is the whole core, not just the stomach, because that will help you to hold your abdominals in and not look like you have a stomach. But then I'm not a big believer in a lot of those infomercials and things. And I think people get sold on, oh, I can do this by myself at home. Well, as I tell people, if you could, you would have. Really. It is better often to go to a professional or to go work out with other people. They say, oh, don't buy those expensive gym memberships. Well, when you go to a gym, it's a social thing too. You're working out with others. And when you take a class or work out, with a personal trainer or whoever, you tend to push yourself a little harder, and it's more fun. And I think that's an important part too. Fitness should be something every day that you kind of not always look forward to, but that you kind of look forward a little bit to your exercise time. When you get there, it's something that, wow, that was kind of fun, and that's how you want to make it.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to weights, is there, I don't know, any ratio as far as what the weights, the amount, the weight of the weights you should be using in regards to maybe your own weight or body size, or is there any relationship?
There's different for different exercises. There's kind of theories on that, but basically, like if you're doing an exercise for your back, you should be doing something heavier than, say, for your chest or your legs. You could be heavier, but in a sense, not really. You want to kind of try to make things even too. Like you don't want to only work out your quadriceps, the front of your leg, and people tend to work out their quadriceps and they forget about their hamstrings at the back of the leg. You want to have a balance, but different muscles are bigger than others. So bigger muscles, you can use heavier weights. And we're doing what's called a compound exercise where you're working a group of muscles, you can do heavier weights than, say, if you're just working a bicep or just working a tricep. But basically, the weight, you want to make sure your form is good, and that's hard for people who aren't trained often on their own. And I think people tend to watch others in the gym that they look like they know what they're doing, and often they don't. So make sure if you're going somewhere that it's a place that has certified people on staff that are there to help you, because there should be people there to watch and make sure everybody is safe and not throwing weights around and are there to help you. But basically, it's a weight you can lift 8 to 10 times and be tired at the end and feel like, oh, I'm glad I'm done, but not so light that you could do it 20 times or say. But you want to do probably 2 sets where you rest a little in between. This old theory of 3 sets or more sets, they found, the newer research has found the more sets you do, the less effective each set is. So 8 to 10 reps is a set, and you do 2 sets is probably plenty. That's all I do myself. That's what I do with my clients.
Okay.
In class, you may do more, like a class like body pump, you do more repetitions, but in general, you want to be tired at the end.
Just the name body pump sounds intimidating. Now, with exercise, I've always had some difficulty not waking up, but exercising as soon as I get up. I'm just more, I guess, a later in the day person for that. Is there a best or better time of day for exercising?
That's another thing. There's all kinds of theories on, but my thing is, it's the time of day you'll do it.
Okay.
I mean, for me, I teach early, I teach late, I teach when I teach. I have clients when I have clients. It could be, I could be teaching or have a client at 6 a.m. It could be 6 or 7 p.m. It's whatever. So, but I just always make sure that I eat breakfast first. And I think people tend to, I've had people get dizzy in class and things when they don't eat. Right. So, you want to get up enough before that you can eat, but basically it's whenever you can fit it into your schedule and when it works for you.
Yeah. Well, it's picking up on that, and I know that you're not a dietitian. I want to make that clear to our viewers. And I have something I want to just mention. But if you can give the folks some general pointers on nutrition. For example, my wife is European, and in the Nordic countries, breakfast is a much bigger deal than it is here, and lunch is a much bigger deal than it is here, and supper is a much lighter deal. Now, does it matter when people eat as well? Certainly it matters how much and how often and what, but does it matter when people eat?
Yes, it does. And your wife, I know your wife, she's a good cook too, but they're kind of right in those Nordic countries because you want to eat breakfast. That's one of the things, that's one of the biggest mistakes I have when clients come to me and they're like, I can't lose weight and I can't. And I think people in this country, especially women, tend to think, all right, I'm going to skip breakfast and I'm not going to eat as long as I can. But then what happens is you're starving your body and then you're eating everything in sight. But if you start with a good breakfast with some protein in there, that will hold you longer, you feel full longer, and you start your metabolism going in the morning. And I think that's important. So breakfast, yes, and try not to eat, you shouldn't eat really heavy before you go to bed because then your body's resting and it's got to burn those calories. But you want to keep eating during the day too so that you're having snacks and keep going. And I'm a big advocate of less sugar.
Yeah, and I personally can kind of attest to the morning thing because when the kids were younger and we went to Disney World, I personally would always have, that would be my biggest meal, and I had the most, seemed to at least have the most energy, and the kids were dragging, and I was still ready to go on Space Mountain. Absolutely.
People always say to me, I have so much energy. It's because I eat during the day and I have a good breakfast, and that's exactly right. And protein, less sugar, and I'm not a big believer in those sports drinks either. That the sugared sports drinks that everyone. No, I don't use them at all. They're full of sugar. You're not out.
The Gatorades and...
Gatorade was designed for the Florida State Gators, the football team, right, for 3-hour practices. And if you had it years ago, because I was a distance runner years ago, and they would cut it down, and it tasted horrible because it didn't have as much sugar, but it was supposed to replace electrolytes, right, for 3 hours of pads in the hot Florida sun. We're not doing that. And I see these kids come in with these big bottles of Gatorade. It's recommended, our certification for personal training, we're supposed to recommend, like, if you work out over 3 hours to use that. And I don't even really recommend it for that. I find it's too much sugar. We don't need it. And you're almost replacing a meal. All those calories with the salt and the sugar, you're better off eating a banana or a piece of fruit or nuts or something wholesome, real food, because then you feel like you've eaten and you're getting your nutrients that way. And water is the best drink.
Right. Yeah, my daughter, Sonia, would never forgive me if I didn't just make a slight correction, because she's professor at Florida State. They're the Seminoles.
It's the university.
Florida,
University,
right. Florida
right.
are the
That's
Gators,
right.
right. So just want to make that full disclosure and
But
correction
yes,
there.
the hot Florida sun, we're not out in the hot Florida. And even our kids, I mean, especially my youngest is big into sports, and they're out on the fields, and it is hot and everything, and these kids come with these huge things of Gatorade. I'm like, do you really think you need that? For water is the best.
Yeah.
Good food and water.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the show. I just wanted to ask Kerry if there was any last thing or two that you'd like to leave with the viewers.
Just basically, everybody needs to exercise. I hear, not just for weight loss, but for health, for feeling better and for health. And no matter what age you are, we should be out getting some exercise. And you're never too old. I have a lot of seniors. Actually, one of my clients has a father who's 94, and he keeps trying to get him. Yeah, he keeps trying to get him in with me and get him going. And it would benefit everybody, even if you're 94. It's for kids, for middle age, and weights, cardio, weights, balance, that kind of thing. It's all components you need to do.
So get out there and do something. Something is better than nothing.
Right, and something that you enjoy. It should be, you should be working hard. You should be getting your heart rate up and working hard, but you should enjoy it.
You'll keep with it
Right.
instead of, and I imagine that's sort of what a lot of the gym memberships kind of count on. They join, in January with the specials and everything, and then by the time February, they're out of there.
We're really, having been in this industry, over 30 years, it's really sad how many people don't last. And we hope they all do.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up our show now. Again, I'd like to thank our guest, personal fitness trainer Kerry Swift of Brookfield, for appearing on the show. Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you.
And I also want to remind our viewers that our air dates on Charter Channel 21 are Mondays at 4:30 and Thursdays at 7 p.m. We also post segments from our shows on YouTube, and you can also see some of the ones we've done in the past year. Actually, 1 year tomorrow is our anniversary. You can find them at YouTube at www.youtube.com/BrookfieldPublicAdvo, or you can certainly Google Brookfield Public Advocate. And you can contact us if you have questions, comments, people you'd like to see, topics you'd like to see discussed at brookfieldpublicadvocate@yahoo.com. And so, again, we'd love to hear from you, and hope we do. Again, thanks for watching, and good night.